Hi everybody, it's Dana Booth, National Education Manager for AmeriFirst Financial and Educate to Earn, and welcome to Fast Track to Inspired Speaking, where we're going to help take you from where you are today to a place where you're speaking to inspire action. In other words, there's a lot of speakers out there and a lot of good speakers, but can you speak and can you talk to a group to inspire them and thereby follow you? And that's really what we're after and trying to teach you. So let's get started. You've heard of the 80-20 rule. And have you ever wondered how some professionals are able to produce 50, 100, even 200% more than their colleagues? And how do they do it? Consistently, mega producers. They receive the same training, they operate in the same marketplace, they're selling the same product or service. And how come some of them always find a way to get their outcomes time after time while others don't? And those would be the ones that we marvel at. Well, I believe that they do it because they have a passion. And some hope, others plan, and others plan and never take action. They have these elaborate plans but never take action. And so planning is much easier if you have some skills. And so what we're going to do is give you the skills, and then really the main thing is people in this business end up burnout, end up inconsistent, they have high highs and low lows. And I believe it's because they don't have or understand their passionate why. In other words, if you're in the business and your sole purpose is to make money, that can't sustain itself over time unless you're an absolutely superficial person. And most of us aren't that way. So again, finding a why that's really related to your passion. If you want to know my why, it's not the what. I could say that I'm here to train and coach and this is what I do, but my why is to wake up inspired every day so that I can inspire others to be inspiring. Or I wake up inspired every day so we can change this business and inspire people to be givers versus takers. More on this later. What you're looking at is Simon Sinek's Golden Circle. And there's a 17-minute video that will tell you at the end of this segment how to find. And it's amazing. You have to watch it 2 or 3 times to really get it. But it could change the way you operate. Could change the place you're coming from every day. And definitely, if you find your why, you will be able to be inspired and be fired up and enjoy your day every day. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. We'll talk more about that, but essentially, most people start from the point of what? What am I selling? I've got this great computer, it's got the best bells and whistles, it's sleek design, don't you want to buy it? And to me, that's a combination of going right to the what and also closing too early. You've got to reach their limbic brain, that center brain that feels things before you can try to close. So starting with why would be a different way to say, like Apple Computers. Apple Computers starts with a why, and they say what we do every day is we challenge the status quo, we innovate, we're different. We're not competing with Microsoft, we're different. And how we do it is we have these sleekly designed, highly functional, beautiful to hold and look at devices. And what they do is they're user-friendly, and they always work. Are you interested in talking more? So the video from Simon Sinek, which we will tell you about later, is so important for you to understand your why. More on that later. So what we're going to try and do is help you with one of the most important traits a sales professional can have, and that's the ability to speak to inspire action. Again, many people can speak effectively. People walk out and say that was a nice speech. What we want you to be able to do is to talk to agents and inspire them to follow you, to refer you transactions because you have inspired them. That's really the difference. So in order for our world to change for the better, great ideas need to be spread. For an idea to be spread, it must be easily understood. When it's understood easily, it becomes actionable. And action is the key word. I wake up every day to inspire people to do the things that inspire them, to find their why and follow it. And my aim is to inspire you to make a paradigm shift in your life and in your career. And the feedback that I've gotten over the last few months about finding your why has been incredible. People have changed their lives, and some in a I don't want to say drastic way, but in a monumental way. So why do we want to inspire people? Well, the law of diffusion of innovation, and that's a big, long soundbite, it really relates to our population and how our population is made up. If you look at our population, 2.5% of our population are innovators. Those are people that invent. That would be Edison, Frank Lloyd Wright, Tesla, Henry Ford, people like that. And the list goes on and on of those people, yet they're only 2.5% of the population. The next 13.5% are the early adopters. And those are people that take new ideas and run with them quickly. Those are the people that are standing out in front of the Apple store for a week or 2 days, camping out overnight, when you can walk into that store in the next week and buy that device. The early majority makes up the next 34%, and this is key. The early majority won't do anything until the early adopters have done it and proven it to be viable and worthy. And then the late majority follows the early majority. And then at the very end, you have 16% of everybody in our population is a laggard. Those are people that just don't do anything. If you ever had a realtor say, I've been showing this guy property for 2 months, 3 months, 5 months, and he just doesn't buy, well, if you're working with someone who's a laggard, you probably want to stop working with them, because they'll probably never, ever, ever act on their actions. If you want to achieve mass market success, 15 to 18% market penetration is what they call the tipping point. So that right in this area, right here, that's when it tips and the early majority follows the early adopters. Kind of technical, but interesting to understand. So it took me a long time to understand this, but if we really want to appeal to the mass market, then we need to design our why to fit the needs of the mass market, the early majority, so the late majority can follow. So think of your why, and think of why you're in the business, and how it appeals to maybe the same way people think about what they want in their life. In other words, I'm in the business to simplify the mortgage process so that we can achieve the American dream for the early majority, for the mass market, for the population that really sees mortgages as complicated and difficult. So we want to cross that chasm and bridge that gap. A little bit technical for this early on, but it's something that I want to have in your brain. And by the way, when you see a concept, it's been proven that you have to see it 3 times in order to really grasp it in any way possible to go forward and apply the practical application. So we're going to repeat things, and we do it on purpose. Again, innovators, speaking of repeating, they want to be first. And they do it for them. They want to be first, not for you, but for them. The early adopters are comfortable making gut decisions, but they're not inventing. They're not the innovators. The early majority will not try something until someone else tries it first, and the late majority will only follow the early majority. They're a little bit slow in the uptake, and then of course we have the laggards. The only reason they do things is they're forced into it. The only reason that these people don't buy rotary phones, rotary dial phones, is because you can't. They don't sell them anymore. So inspire the innovators and the early adopters, and the early majority will follow. So I dragged out a couple of facts that are well known but worth reading on public speaking. Many surveys have shown that most people would rather die than talk in front of an audience. So the top 5 fears we have are apparently, number 1 is fear of public speaking. I say this because it is absolutely normal for anyone who's not in their comfort zone to feel funny getting out of their comfort zone. And public speaking, if you've never done it, is getting out of your comfort zone. What we need to understand at this point is that it is not critical that it feel funny. It is critical to understand that it's easy to cross the chasm of getting comfortable. It's not impossible. It only feels impossible. Number 2 is the fear of death. In other words, people would rather die than speak in public. Fear of spiders or snakes is 3. Fear of darkness is 4. And fear of heights is 5. So confronted with the option of dying or speaking in public, we'd rather die than speak. I myself was one of those people that just couldn't stand being in public. Having been the head pro at Spyglass Hill, when I would have the member guest, I would have to get up and present the awards. And these are awards to CEOs of major corporations like Eastman Kodak and the San Francisco Giants and Ford Motor Company, and they're all members at Spyglass, and I would have to have a couple of glasses of wine to feel comfortable to speak in front of them. And what I didn't realize was the only reason I felt funny about not speaking well in public, or about self-consciousness speaking in public, is that I didn't do it a lot or understand that was a completely normal emotion. So the point is, speaking in public, fear is a major issue. Fear is the issue. And fear is easy to overcome because a lot of times it sounds cheesy to say, but fear is false evidence appearing real. So we're not alone. It's common to think that we are. Incredibly, 75% of us experience speaking in public fear at some time. 25% of us have issues now, and millions suffer. It's common and it's curable. So those of you who have no fear of public speaking are really in a minority, but you have a leg up on the rest of us. And either way, to go forward, you need to commit to your craft. So you need to commit, in my opinion, you need to commit to overcoming this. And as you do, you'll see that it's not that difficult. I did it myself. If I can do it, you can do it. Number 2, to create your why. You need to create a purpose, an inspiring idea that makes you get up in the morning and inspire others, and then they'll follow you. And then 3, you need to practice, practice, practice. As a professional golfer, repetition and practice was just something that came with the game. But for most people, practicing something, they don't do it because they don't know how to practice. We're going to teach you how to practice. You need all 3 of these things to be successful. Number 1, commitment. Make a commitment right here, right now, that you're going to do what it takes to get where you need to be. You're going to overcome your fear, or get to the point where you feel like you're a polished, inspiring public speaker. It's not about public speaking, it's about public leading. I believe if you're not presenting and you're in the mortgage business, you're falling behind. Learning how to inspire when you present is easier than you think. I know it doesn't seem like it is, but it is. And we're going to teach you the mechanics. It starts with passion. Whenever I get up in front of a group, I have a higher energy than I normally speak when I speak to people. It took me a while to have that become natural. I had to manufacture it for a while. I had to get up and say, all right, I'm really going to punch this out. I'm going to put all my energy and my heart into this talk. And after a while, it becomes habit. It's very hard to have passion until you find your why. And here we come back to Sinek's Golden Circle, starting with the why and going to the how and the what. My name is Dana Booth, and what I do is I wake up every morning inspired to inspire others, and how I do it is I teach them the mechanics of their business, how simple it is, how to take simple steps to be more successful, and what it produces is people that want to follow me. Most people think from the outside in, they start with a what, they never get anywhere. Because people aren't inspired by what, they're inspired by why. Exceptional people, the innovators, the early adopters, they think from the inside out. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. They align themselves with your why, and they'll buy whatever you have to sell. So, let's go a little textbook here and talk about 5 principles of success. Number 1 is that you must have a plan. And it's a little bit trite to say have a plan. Everyone thinks they have a plan. I'd rather have a dream than a plan, but having a plan is important. And number 2 is the most important thing, and that's to take action. If you have a plan and you never take action, think about it. What will happen? It's almost like the saying in golf, when if every putt's short, you never finish your round. Number 3 is you want to measure and track your results so that you can take action and see if your action is actually working, or do you need to adjust your plan. Number 4 is be open to change. Can you change your plan and adapt to your environment? And number 5, this is not something that's in vogue in our culture and never has been, to ask for help. It isn't cool to ask for help, to be needy, but asking for help is the most important part of the 5 principles of success. So I'm going to give you some homework for Module 1 here. Google this and watch the YouTube video. And what you're going to Google is Simon Sinek, How Great Leaders Inspire Action. You can also Google Simon Sinek, Find Your Why. It's a 17-minute video. I want you to watch the whole thing. And then number 2, I want you to try to start a random conversation with 2 people. This is where we break in to getting out of our comfort zone. I want you to feel what it feels like to do something that you've never done before. Most people have never started a random conversation from scratch. If it feels funny, if it feels awkward, if it feels next to impossible, then it might be normal. You're getting out of your comfort zone. Get out of that comfort zone and feel your self-consciousness. Feel how awkward it feels. Notice how the person that you're talking to, a good example of how to do this is the person you're talking to is going to be shocked you're talking to them. And a good example of how to do this is to be in a Starbucks in line. Turn around, look at the person behind you and say, what kind of $6 cup of coffee are you buying today? Notice how I tripped on my words a little bit there, but it's okay. You don't have to be perfect. Feel your self-consciousness. Feel the self-consciousness in that person, and then feel it all break when they answer you. And then you're in the middle of starting a conversation. Feel what that feels like. That's the first step in overcoming your fear of public speaking. And then number 3, think and discover and develop your why. Try to think of a why that appeals to a lot of people. When you think of the 34% of the early majority, let's call it, after the early adopters, think of those people and think of what they want and how they view the mortgage business. And then design your why to fit the needs of those people, and you'll be amazed at how your production will improve. This is the first of a series of 8. In Module 2, we're going to cover keys to inspiring people and taking control of a room. 2 things that are important, and maybe we're not ready for, but we're going to talk about them strategically because we want to build our arsenal, our understanding of speaking, so that we can be confident when we go out there and we can mechanically make it work. Remember, when you're in front of a group, you're excelling. When you're not moving forward. One person in an audience could change your life. The lifetime value of one person in an audience could be incredible. I tell the story all the time of doing a class at 7:30 in Glendale, a 3-hour class that's going to end at 10:30 and 5 people show up. Doesn't sound promising, exciting, or fun. But again, I manufactured that energy. I punched it out. I did my best, and one of those people came up to me and said, hey, I'm looking for a new lender. And we did over 200 transactions in the next 3 years with that realtor and her team. So, thanks so much for seeing Module 1. I hope this inspires you to move forward to Module 2. So, we'll talk to you in Module 2. And until then, have a great day and keep that commitment.